What do you think's out there?
Your father.
I've watched the whole series. I really want to say congratulations. You both did great work on this. I really, really dug this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peter, I definitely have to start with you. I thought that all the actors in the series were just so good, but there was a guy who sort of looked like you in the first episode that really brought the series down. And I wanted to know, why'd you cast him?
I don't know. It was a big mistake. I couldn't get anyone else to do it. I really tried. People were intimidated by the role, I guess. So at the last minute, I decided to put myself in it, mainly as a test to see whether I could still remember that many lines. It's been a minute since I've had to act. So I did it not because I thought I'd be good, but I did it for selfish reasons, just to test my own brain set and brain skills and see whether I still had the ability to memorize lines. So I apologize to you and everyone else that has to watch that.
No, you did great. But being serious, one of the reasons I think this series is so well done is because you shot on location, and it just adds so much realism to what is being depicted on screen. You've done so many things. Was this the hardest thing that you've ever filmed?
I think it was, yes. I mean, it was, when Mark L. Smith and I first talked about doing this, we wanted to go out into the environment, to the elements, and shoot something that was not on sound stages, not in a particularly controlled environment. And we wanted a challenge, and we definitely got that challenge. And I can't say enough about the crew. Every man and woman on that crew were with me lockstep, getting up at 3 a.m. in a pitch black, driving up to these mountains, and it was freezing cold, and then hiking, hundreds of yards up into the mountains and setting up on rocks and on little folding chairs and just working their butts off with a smile on their face. And I think it wasn't, just me that kind of got really into the grit. I think it was the actors. I think it was the extraordinary crew, and, Julie being right there is one of like someone I couldn't have done it without. But it was an adventure, and then, that's what life should be. I believe it should be a series of adventures and challenges. And we definitely had one with American Primeval.
Yeah. I think that people who don't know how movies are made are going to feel that realism as they're watching. It just adds so much. Julie, I have a question for you. Talk a little bit about what you did on the series, and also how you added maybe to a specific scene or sequence to make sure it was as authentic as possible.
Well, really, what I do is come in and bring in experts. I bring in people from the nations to come in, historians. I put teams from all three of, Southern Paiute, Shoshone, and Ute. And so what I did was basically, once we bring them in, like Pete has a lot of the language, and that is something that's being brought up, today currently within our nations, is saving our languages. And then, really engaging artisans to come in. We set up workrooms within the community. Anything else that was, and it was for, like teepees and really interesting textures. And, I had research from NMAI at Smithsonian, and their researchers there sent, a lot of photographs for me to, out of the actual collection, for me to work with the costume and work with set, work with prop, really so that I give them enough really accurate information that they can act on. And then I can't remember the last part of your question.
Oh, was there like a specific scene or sequence?
Oh, yes. So we brought in Eastern Shoshone, it was Eastern Shoshone singers. And so we have a scene that's called Getting Ready for War. And so it's a night scene. And so one of the gentlemen named Waylon Benazzi, who was the historian that had been sent to us from Eastern Shoshone. And so Waylon is the head of a native group. And so they came in to the set. I kind of asked the person that I was working with, which I always worked a lot with, a gentleman named Sam Tischler, and I said, you all should have some music in this that's authentic. And he kind of said, can we do that? Because it's really, nothing's written down on sheet music. I mean, it's really, you're bringing in singers and they're really just orally like singing these songs. And so I started working with Netflix, with their legal department, to figure out all the details of it. And then they show up on set. And this was one of the most chilling moments, was when the morning before we were shooting, because Pete showed it, he shot this like late in the evening. And so they've gotten their costumes. They have everything that was on them was made by some Shoshone tribal members. They had dress and different things that are authentic. And then, but they go to practice that morning while they're setting up set, and it's cold and everybody's trying to get everything together for this scene to be shot that night. And they sit down with that drum and they started playing, and everyone on the set, all the crew, stops. And they like go over just to listen. You see, and the thing I think is most interesting, in men in particular, sometimes will go stand around that drum. You see it in a lot of tribes and in our dances, but those men will go around there and really start listening. And so it just set the tone on set. And it just ended up being, you saw people dancing, and it's a really wonderful scene.
Thank you for sharing. Pete, I definitely have another question, and that is, you have some great action in this, specifically in episode 1. You have this brutal sequence. Can you sort of talk about filming you have a lot of experience with action. Can you talk about what you wanted to do with the action in this series? And if you could, I guess, address a little bit of episode 1 in that incredible sequence.
I mean, one of the themes that Mark L. Smith and I wanted to explore was just man's inherent violent nature. Certainly you go back to the origins of this country and start studying and documenting the history of violence committed by human upon human up into the present day that we're living in today, certainly from the origin story of America and other countries, almost all of them. We are a violent species, and the reasons for this violence are hard to define, but certainly fear is a big one, and the desire that for humans to bond with their own group and to protect themselves from perceived threats. And that was sort of a theme of the show. And that then led itself to some of the violent altercations that you see in the film. And we wanted to present those that violence in a very unfiltered, unglamorous way. We wanted to capture as much as we could of the rawness and the brutality and the immediacy of this violence. And the Mountain Meadows Massacre, which is the event that you're referring to, which occurs in the first episode, it's a real event. It was a mass murder that was committed by Mormons against pioneers from Arkansas, and the Mormons had involved some different members of a Indian tribe and manipulated, I believe, that tribe into participating in this massacre. It's been documented. It's been owned by the Mormon Church. There's a monument that I attended where the Meadows Massacre happened in southern Utah. The Mormon Church built. It's a horrible crime that really did occur. We present it, and the one thing I would add to it is that we don't present it in a vacuum. We try and explain to the audience how tensions got this elevated, why something like this was able to happen, and folks were able to get this angry and feel this threatened by each other, leading to something really catastrophic, which was the Mormons Meadows Massacre.
I have to stop. I'm just going to say again, just congrats on the series, and I'm confident a lot of people are going to watch it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.